What if everything you perceive, like the chair you're sitting on right now, the sounds around you, even your own thoughts, what if none of it is actually, well, real?
Mm,
It's a question that really messes with your head, doesn't it?
it absolutely does.
And it's right at the heart of something called simulation theory. It's this idea that, fundamentally challenges our whole understanding of existence.
Yeah.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into this fascinating world. And it's a concept that's actually been around in different ways for ages, but
Hmm.
it really got a modern boost thanks to the philosopher Nick Bostrom.
That's right. And our mission today really is to unpack the core ideas behind simulation theory. We'll dig into its foundations, look at the arguments both for and, importantly, against it.
Right.
We'll think about what it all means, the implications, and even how it keeps showing up in films and books.
Uh-huh.
We've basically sifted through a ton of material to give you the key takeaways on this really captivating topic.
Okay, let's get into it then. So the simplest version is simulation theory suggests our reality, everything we see and experience, our consciousness.
Yeah.
It's all just a really advanced computer simulation
Uh-huh.
made by some super advanced civilization, and all the laws of physics, just part of the code.
Exactly. And what's kind of striking is how this idea gets its fuel from our own tech progress. Think about VR, video games.
Oh yeah, they're getting scary realistic.
Right. It's almost like you could imagine us living inside a giant cosmic game of The Sims. Or, Elon Musk put it pretty bluntly.
He's talked about this a lot, hasn't he?
He has. He compared reality to a video game where we're the characters. He even said he thinks the odds VR and base reality are like 1 in billions.
Wow. Okay, and you mentioned Nick Bostrom earlier. His 2003 paper, Are You Living in a Computer Simulation? That was a big deal, wasn't it?
Huge deal. It really formalized the argument in a powerful way.
So what is that argument? Why did it make such waves?
Well, Bostrom presented what he calls the trilemma. He basically says, look, one of these three things has to be true.
Okay.
Possibility one. Civilizations like ours just go extinct before they ever reach a post-human stage.
Meaning before they get powerful enough to run these super detailed simulations of the past, like ancestor simulation.
Exactly. That's the first possibility. Option two. Advanced civilizations do reach that stage, but they just lose interest. They decide not to run simulations of their history or variations of it. Maybe it's unethical, maybe it's boring, who knows?
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So extinction or boredom,
Or number three, the kicker,
which is?
that we are almost certainly living inside a computer simulation right now.
Right. Because if the first two aren't true,
Then simulations would likely become incredibly common. Bostrom points to the exponential growth in computing power we're already seeing. If future folks can simulate worlds like ours, and they want to,
then statistically, there would be way more simulated universes than real ones.
precisely. So the odds are we'd be in one of the many simulations, not the one original base reality.
Okay, my head's spinning slightly, but I follow the logic. So if that's the statistical argument,
Yeah.
how could a simulation like this even work? What are the proposed mechanics?
Well, our sources generally talk about two main ways this could go down.
Okay.
Scenario one, everything. Literally everything, every atom, every law of physics, every thought you have. It's all just code running on some unbelievably powerful computer, maybe a quantum computer.
Like the ultimate open world game.
Kind of, yeah, just rendered as needed, perhaps. The second idea is a bit different. Maybe the world is simulated, but we, our consciousness, our bodies, are real,
Like in the Matrix.
plugged in somewhere.
Exactly like the Matrix.
Mhm.
Our brains are just being fed signals to make us perceive this simulated reality.
Mm.
This scenario leans heavily on future tech, like super advanced VR or brain-computer interfaces.
Right, and I guess conscious AI, too. And conscious AI, yes, which, as you know, is a whole other massive debate itself. Though some people, like tech entrepreneur Rizwan Virk, seem pretty convinced that's coming down the line.
Okay, that is a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
So, given those possibilities, what are the kinds of things people point to as maybe little hints? Glitches in the Matrix, so to speak. What are the clues?
Well, one line of argument focuses on what you could call mathematical reality.
Yep.
The idea that our universe runs on these incredibly precise, predictable mathematical laws. Some argue that feels, well, kind of like the rules of a computer program.
Like it's too neat.
Perhaps. And then you get into things like quantum mechanics, particles only having definite properties when observed.
Yeah, that's always felt weird. Like the universe isn't bothering to render the details until someone looks.
That's one interpretation some simulation proponents latch onto,
Huh.
or even the idea that space-time itself might be pixelated at the tiniest possible scale, the Planck scale, like digital information.
Interesting.
Then there are things people call unexplained anomalies. Maybe they're bugs in the code, or even features.
Like what sort of anomalies?
Well, the big one is the fine-tuning of the universe. You know, how the fundamental constants, gravity, the strong nuclear force, seem perfectly dialed in for life to exist. Change them just a tiny bit and poof, no stars, no planets, no us.
Right, the Goldilocks problem. It seems suspiciously convenient.
Some say suspiciously designed. And then there are more subjective things like glitches in perception déjà vu, or the Mandela effect where lots of people misremember the same thing. Are those just quirks of memory or tiny system resets? Probably quirks of memory, but...
It's fun to speculate. And you know, what's really fascinating is that questioning reality isn't just a modern tech thing. There's a philosophical history here, too.
Oh, absolutely. There's what you might call philosophical evidence that goes back centuries, long before computers.
Like Descartes. I think, therefore I am.
Exactly. René Descartes wrestled with this. How can you prove anything exists for sure beyond your own conscious awareness? Can you trust your senses? It's the fundamental problem.
If all you have is perception,
Yeah.
how do you know?
And you see echoes of this everywhere in philosophy. Think of Zhuangzi in ancient China, dreaming he was a butterfly, then waking up and not being sure if he was a man who dreamt he was a butterfly or a butterfly now dreaming he's a man.
Blurring that line between dream and reality.
Precisely. Or the concept of Maya in Indian philosophy, the idea that the world we perceive is a kind of illusion, a cosmic play.
And Plato's cave.
Plato's cave is a perfect analogy. Prisoners mistaking shadows for the real thing. It's a powerful metaphor for how our perceptions might be limited or even manipulated, just like in a potential simulation. These ancient thinkers were definitely onto the same core question.
It really adds weight, doesn't it? Knowing people grappled with this stuff millennia ago. Okay, but let's flip the coin. No idea this big goes unchallenged. What about the skeptical side? What are the biggest holes people poke in simulation theory?
Well, the number one critique, honestly, is the lack of empirical evidence.
Right. It's a cool idea, but...
Yeah.
Where's the proof?
Exactly. It's a compelling thought experiment, maybe even statistically plausible depending on your assumptions, but right now, it's pure speculation. We can't test it. We can't falsify it. Not yet, anyway.
Okay, fair enough. What else?
Then there's the sheer scale of it, the resource constraints. Think about the computing power needed to simulate an entire universe down to the quantum level, including billions of conscious minds.
It seems impossible.
Well, some physicists, like Zohar Ringel and Dmitry Kovriji, did a study suggesting that even simulating a relatively simple quantum system using classical computers is basically impossible due to the complexity scaling up exponentially. Simulating a whole universe, that's orders of magnitude harder.
But couldn't the simulators have, like, quantum computers beyond our wildest dreams?
That's the counter argument. Ringel himself admitted, who knows what are the computing capabilities of whatever simulates us. So it's a constraint based on our understanding, which might be limited.
Okay. So, evidence gap, resource problem. What else?
There's the base reality problem. This one's a classic philosophical loop. If we're in a simulation...
Then who simulated the simulators?
Exactly, and who simulated them. It potentially leads to an infinite regress simulations all the way down, which doesn't actually explain the ultimate origin of reality.
It just pushes the question back a step.
Right, and related to that is Occam's razor. You know, the idea that the simplest explanation is usually the best.
And a universe simulating, another universe simulating, that's not simple.
Not really. It adds layers of complexity compared to just one base reality existing.
Got it. Any other major critiques?
Yeah, a few more perspectives. Physicist Lisa Randall brings up the why-s question. Why would some super advanced civilization bother simulating us? She argues there are probably so many things to be simulating, it kind of questions the assumed motivation of the simulators.
Like, are we really that interesting?
Maybe not. And cosmologist Sean Carroll points out a potential logical flaw in Bostrom's argument itself. If we assume we are typical observers and we currently can't run these simulations, doesn't that contradict the assumption that it's likely future civilizations will be able to?
That's a tricky one. It challenges the statistical foundation.
It does. Then there's Frank Wilczek, another physicist. He talks about the hidden complexity in the laws of physics as we understand them. He argues they seem kind of messy and extraneous if it were all just an efficient simulation.
Like, why make gravity and quantum mechanics so weird and complicated if you're just coding a simulation?
Kind of. And he also brings up that embarrassing question, as he calls it. This is a simulation. What is the underlying reality made of? What are its laws? Again, pushing the problem back.
It really highlights how deep the questions go. And it's interesting how views can change, too. You mentioned Neil deGrasse Tyson earlier.
Right. He was initially quite bullish, giving it better than 50-50 odds.
But he changed his mind.
He encountered an argument from physicist J. Richard Gott, which made him reconsider. Gott's point was basically, if worlds like ours can't create high-fidelity simulations, and we currently can't, then either we are in the real base universe, or we must be the very last simulation in a potentially long chain of simulations.
Because if we could simulate, we wouldn't be the last.
Exactly. And being the absolute last one seems statistically less likely than being somewhere in the middle if simulations are common. So it made the whole hypothesis seem less probable to Tyson. He actually said, that changes my life.
Wow. That's a powerful counterpoint. Okay, so we've got the mind-bending idea, the potential clues, the strong critiques. It's a real intellectual tangle.
It really is.
But let's get to the so what question. Suppose it is true, or even if we just can't rule it out, what does that actually mean for us? What are the implications?
Well, the philosophical ramifications are just immense. Everything changes.
Like what?
Our whole concept of existence, obviously. Free will, are choices real or just part of the program?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Consciousness itself. What is it if it can be simulated? And the nature of truth. The line between real and fake just dissolves. It forces a fundamental rethink of everything we thought we knew.
Okay, that's existentially heavy.
Yeah.
What about more practical stuff? Tech, ethics.
Right, the technological and ethical implications. As our tech gets better, especially AI and computing power, we might actually get close to creating our own sophisticated simulations.
We could become the simulator.
We could, and that raises huge ethical questions. If we create simulated worlds with conscious beings in them, what are our responsibilities? Do they have rights? How should we treat them?
Wow. Yeah, that's a minefield.
It really is. And then, of course, there are the theological contemplations.
How does God fit into a simulation?
Well, does it replace the idea of a traditional divine creator? Or could the simulator be a kind of God? Or could there be a higher power within the simulation itself? It opens up all sorts of new ways to think about spirituality and the ultimate nature of reality.
So many layers. You know, I read something really provocative from a philosopher, Preston Green. He basically said, maybe it's better if we don't find out if we're in a simulation.
Yes. Green's argument. It's a chilling one.
Why does he say that? What's the danger in knowing?
His reasoning is basically risk management for our entire reality. If we somehow proved we were in a simulation, think about how that might change our behavior as a civilization.
We might freak out, stop taking things seriously.
Exactly. Or maybe we'd try to hack the system or contact the simulators. Whatever we did, our behavior might become unpredictable or uninteresting to the simulators if the point of the simulation was to observe a natural course of events.
Finding out ruins the experiment.
Right. And if our simulation becomes useless or problematic for that basement-level reality running it, they may just
Pull the plug.
pull the plug, shut it down. Green calls it potentially a quick and painless death for our entire universe. So ignorance might literally be bliss, or at least survival.
Good grief.
Yeah.
That's unsettling. So maybe the best strategy is just to keep our heads down and try to be interesting content.
That's kind of related to what another philosopher, Robin Hanson, suggests.
Oh, yeah. What's his take?
Hanson says, if you're a rational, self-interested sim, your best bet is to try and be entertaining and praiseworthy.
To impress the simulators.
Basically, yeah. To avoid getting turned off, or maybe worse, shunted into a less resource-intensive, lower-fidelity part of the simulation, like the background characters in a video game.
Huh. Okay, so strive for NPC stardom.
Something like that. He also speculates, maybe more cynically, that realizing you're a sim might kill your motivation for long-term planning, like saving for retirement. Or even altruism. Why help the poor in Ethiopia if, as he puts it, there is no Ethiopia in your simulated reality?
Oof. That's a dark perspective on the potential social consequences.
It definitely highlights how knowing could change human values.
It's really amazing, though, how much this whole idea has captured the public imagination. Beyond philosophy and physics, it's everywhere in culture.
Oh, absolutely. It taps into a deep-seated anxiety or curiosity about the nature of reality. It's been a sci-fi staple for decades.
What are some key examples?
Well, you've got early stuff like the 1964 novel Simulacron 3, which led to films like World on a Wire and later The 13th Floor. They explored nested simulations way back.
And The Matrix, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
That blew the doors open for mainstream audiences in '99.
The Matrix is the iconic one, for sure, but you see it pop up constantly. Recent Doctor Who, there was an episode Extremis where they used a non-random number sequence as proof they were in a simulation.
Oh, I remember that. Clever.
Or that Netflix show, 1899, which heavily involved a simulation designed to induce amnesia. Even video games like No Man's Sky directly use a simulated universe as a central plot element.
Right. And what about Futurama? I heard there's a fan theory.
Yeah, the Futurama theory. It suggests the whole 31st century setting is actually a post-scarcity utopia where everyone's jacked into perfect VR, people are working out of necessity, but to sort of prove their worth in this enlightened state.
Huh? Interesting take. But did the show itself address it?
It did. In the episode All the Way Down, the characters actually confront the idea they might be in a simulation. And their conclusion, ultimately it doesn't really matter. It's a distraction from just living your life, real or not.
Which kind of fits Futurama's whole vibe, right?
Absolutely. It contrasts with that fan theory because the show's usual cynical take is that even with godlike tech, humans are still, bickersome, gullible meatbags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still dealing with mundane problems, unimpressed by miracles.
Exactly. Too flawed to use the tech properly, still ground down by everyday life. It's a very human paradox, simulation or not.
It really is. And yet, despite all the critiques, despite the philosophical rabbit holes, you still have these really smart, high-profile people, like Musk.
Yeah.
Who are pretty convinced.
Yeah, Musk saying 1 in billions chance we're in base reality definitely keeps the idea in the public eye.
So if you take someone like Rizwan Virk's view, maybe thinking about it isn't just navel-gazing.
Right. Virk's perspective, coming from a tech and gaming background, is more pragmatic. If this is some kind of game or simulation, then maybe understanding its rules, its nature, could actually help us navigate it better, help us survive and thrive, as he puts it.
Learn the cheat codes, maybe?
Or at least understand the objective, perhaps?
So what a journey we've taken. From Bostrom's really stark trilemma through the physics, the philosophy, the ethics, the pop culture.
It really touches on everything, doesn't it? We've looked at the clues that make it seem plausible, the very strong counter-arguments, and just how deeply it's woven into our imagination.
It leaves you wondering.
It does, and maybe, in the end, whether our reality turns out to be the bedrock base reality or some kind of neural interface or a full-blown digital simulation, maybe the most important thing is the questioning itself. Pushing those boundaries of what we think is real, what consciousness is. That curiosity is what drives human understanding forward. So let me ask you, the listener, what part of the simulation hypothesis sticks with you the most? What seems the most compelling or maybe the most unsettling?
Definitely food for thought. Keep asking those big questions. Keep doing your own deep dives into the mysteries of existence, whether it's simulated or not.